This episode of The Biggest Table is brought to you in part by Wild Goose Coffee. Since 2008, Wild Goose has sought to build better communities through coffee. And for our listeners, Wild Goose is offering a special promotion of 20% off a one-time order using the code TABLE at checkout. To learn more and to order coffee, please visit wildgoosecoffee.com. Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Biggest Table. I am your host, Andrew Camp, and in this podcast, we explore the table, food, eating, and hospitality as an arena for experiencing God's love and our love for one another. And today, I'm joined by Naeem Fazal. Naeem is the founding and lead pastor of Mosaic Church in Charlotte, North Carolina. He is a Pakistani, born and raised as a Muslim in Kuwait. He came to the United States shortly after the Gulf War and had a supernatural experience with Christ that changed the course of his life. He was ordained at Seacoast Church in Charleston and is the author of Ex-Muslim. His latest book, Tomorrow Needs You, was recently released by InterVarsity Press. Naeem and his wife Ashley have 2 children and 2 cats. So thanks for joining me today, Naeem. It's great to have you as a guest on this podcast.
Thank you for having me, Andrew. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, so like your bio says, you're a Pakistani, but born and raised in Kuwait. Your family is Muslim. Give us a glimpse into your childhood. Like that feels unique and probably has shaped who you are and how you approach the world in many ways.
Yeah, it has been. You know, in one sense, it's been very cool, but in the other sense, it's been always a sense of being a stranger in a strange land. Like, so I was born in Kuwait, which is, not the country my parents were born in. So they migrated to Kuwait. So they're Pakistanis. And when they migrated to Kuwait, you don't become a Kuwaiti citizen because they don't give out citizenships, they just don't. And, I was raised in a country that never gave me citizenship. So never kind of made me its own, So I always felt like a stranger. I was an immigrant. And then, when I was 18 years old or so, after going through a war in Kuwait, I came to the States. And then, I again kind of feel like a stranger in a strange land. And even though I've been in the States for a long time now, it's not my place. It's not necessarily the country I was born into,
Right.
And so, I feel like I've been an immigrant my whole life.
I can imagine.
So.
Yeah. No, I remember I worked overseas and worked with missionary kids, and there was the phrase third culture kids because, they were neither American nor were they the country they lived in, but sort of an amalgamation of cultures, and for you, it's like you're almost like a fourth culture, like you have, how many cultures working to sort of figure out who you are.
Yeah, and it's what added to that is that the schooling that I received in Kuwait was actually Indian.
Okay.
So
wow.
my mom, so they put me in an Indian school from the beginning. So I never went to a Pakistani school until I went for 2 years later on because I didn't even know this. I had learning disability, and I mean, I got to a point at a certain like I started failing 5th grade. Like I could not get into middle school, and finally went to a Pakistani school. So that was the first time I went to a Pakistani school, and just for a couple of years. And it was nuts. But so growing up in Kuwait, surrounded by Indians, home is obviously Pakistani.
Yeah.
And then the culture is all Arab. So it was fun. It was fun.
And then, so what role does food and hospitality play in like the Muslim culture, and how has that sort of then informed you as you've now become a Jesus follower?
Yeah, man, it's huge. It's huge. Again, one of the similarities, or one of the things that kind of connects my heritage in one sense as a Pakistani to Kuwait is because we are the religion that they follow is the Abrahamic religion. So you've got Jews, Christians, and Arabs following this Abraham. Is the father, in a sense. And so hospitality was a huge thing, especially if you read the old text in the Old Testament about Abraham. That hospitality always played a huge part of the faith. And so, growing up as a Muslim, because that's what I did, I grew up as a Muslim. Yeah, hospitality was one of those things that if you weren't hospitable, you were sinning. I mean, that was a
Mm.
very, very apparent sin that if you were not hospitable to your to strangers, if you weren't, it showed a lot about your faith, the way how hospitable you were. The more hospitable you were, the more Muslim committed to Islam you were in a strange way. And yeah, and then also a lot of the things that the holidays, like for example, the celebrations. So you've got obviously Christmas here, right?
Yeah.
And so in the Arab world or all in Islam, Pakistanis and Arabs both celebrate this. And so in being a Pakistani in Kuwait, I mean, obviously Muslim over Muslim. I mean, we were just all kinds of Islamic traditions and things like that. One of them is one of the they call them Eids. And
Mm.
Eids is like, I would say, like a Christmas. So one of the Eids is actually that happens after Ramadan. But the Eid that I want to talk about is this idea. You remember the story of Abraham? Abraham, felt like God was calling him to sacrifice his one and only son,
Yeah.
Isaac, and the story in the scriptures is like, and God provided a lamb, right? And in the Arab world, that's why they sacrifice a lamb. So
Mm.
in Eid, they will sacrifice a lamb, and they're signifying that, in fact, that story
Wow.
of how God provided a lamb. So it's similar, and then you all eat together. And
Yeah.
what happens there is like, where Christmas seems to be a little bit more of like family,
Mm-hmm.
and just your family. Eid, and especially sacrificing, a lamb is what you bring it to you bring the community together. It's not just family.
Wow.
It's like neighborhoods or pockets of neighborhoods get together. The more people you can get together.
Mm.
Also in Ramadan, breaking a fast
Yeah.
again was like not just the family breaks the fast. No, neighbors come, and it's a whole day. So imagine a whole country for a whole month, always throwing a party every day. Like,
Wow.
I
Yeah.
mean, so you could, so hospitality and this idea of kingship and fellowship even
Yeah.
is a huge thing in the Muslim culture. Yeah, so.
Wow. So like, how did then like that doesn't pervade at least American Christianity, this
Mm,
idea of celebration and bringing the community together, like you're talking about. And so, like, how how does that then inform as you lead a church? Like, how do you seek to bring in this bigger, more radical
mm,
hospitality to play? Because you're leading a multi-ethnic church, and your goal is for
right.
multi-ethnicity, which is a harder but a more beautiful goal. And so, like, how does hospitality then play um, and factor into your church?
Yeah. Well, at Mosaic, like our mission statement, is to reclaim the message and the movement of Jesus. And
Mm.
so what we're trying to do is see, okay, what does it mean to take back some of the things, like some of the messaging and and what the church is supposed to look like. Like, what does Jesus really say? What do the scriptures really say? What does it look what does our faith look like? And then what is the church supposed to look like?
Yeah.
Really? And I mean, I love the beauty and the diversity of denominations, but I think at the end of the day, I'm not quite sure if that is what Jesus had in mind. For us to be in like
Mm. Yeah.
these pockets of doctrinal, compartments, in a
Yeah.
sense, or communities where we're like, no, so and so is wrong, or so and so is wrong, and we don't get together and and look down upon and all that. I'm not quite sure if that's what he had in mind. So I feel like when it comes to like Mosaic, what we number one, what we try to do is that we interpret the scriptures like the way they were written down, as in they were written to a community. They were
Yeah.
never written to a person.
No.
Some of them were, there are a few letters that were like, hey, this is to so and so.
Yeah.
But usually it was to this church and to these people. And so when Jesus talked, I mean, yes, he would address certain people individually, but then his teachings were us. Like,
Yeah.
hey, this is about us. This is
Yeah.
this is how we're supposed to live. Like, this is how you need to interact each other. Like, like even his one and only commandment, the new one that he gave, he said, love one another like I have loved you.
Right.
And even there, he's saying, don't love the way you love yourself.
Mm.
That was the ultimate commandment. Don't do that. Don't no. Love the way I've loved you, and the way I've loved you is I brought you in community. I've loved you with the everlasting love, a gracious love, and so what all that informs the way we do ministry, and that is, hey, remember, if it's not, it is a personal, intimate faith, but it's not a private one, it's a corporate one. So it's like, I think it's an intimate, deep faith that you have, but it's together. It's like understanding like that in the Western world, a family is, mom and dad and kids.
Yep.
And this is who we are. This is our deal. This is us.
Yeah.
And, mom and dad raise their kids. Well, in the Eastern culture, it's a village mentality. It's like, so for example, my name, Naeem, was not really like my mom and dad didn't name me. And I have two brothers, two sisters, and none of them were named by my mom and dad.
Huh.
It was by my uncle. They give the honor to someone else.
Wow.
Just the craziest thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You would never think like, no, we raised this kid. I mean, I'm naming my kid.
Right.
That's not how it works there. Yeah, the honor is given. Now, I mean, some people don't do that, but at least in my family or in, that's how we did it. So no one is and then my dad gets the honor of naming maybe his brother's sons or his brother's daughter, but it's not, so this idea of like, hey, we're a family, and we just don't mean mom and dad. We mean like, this is like when God called Abraham to leave his family, he was not like, I'm moving across town. He was leaving his whole clan. He was going to start a new thing. It was a big ask for God to do that. So when you have that idea, when, and you incorporate that in a church, I mean, even this past weekend, I talked about how we are becoming a village.
Yeah.
And so we have to get to a point where we're okay with other people instructing our kids, correcting our kids, but also because if you're okay with people taking care of your kids or looking out for your kids as they're running around, well, they should be able to even instruct them.
Right.
And so it's a trust thing. It's a lot of, so when you create a community like that, hospitality is just, it's not what we do, it's who we are. If that makes sense.
No. Yep. Yeah. Because No, because I think too many times we associate hospitality with an act of inviting people over, but really hospitality is really an inward posture or a corporate posture, of how do we create space for another person to flourish and to be who God created them to be.
Right.
And so, yeah.
No. See, hospitality also, like, you cannot be hospitable without moving you and your needs out of the center. Like, you can't do that.
No.
Like, you can't be hospitable and like truly hospitable.
Right.
I mean, you can flatter people and you can, like you can move things around and, make sure someone gets more attention and this and all that. But there's a difference between like I'm sure, Andrew, you've heard of this honor culture in churches, right? So that's the big difference between like hospitality culture versus an honor culture. The honor culture means some people get honor, others don't.
No, right.
Right?
Yeah.
Hospitality is like everybody honors everybody. Everybody treats everybody like a human. Everybody thinks of the other person. That's a different kind of, culture.
Yeah.
So.
No, I love that picture of hospitality, and it like my wife and I've said this on this podcast with numerous guests, it feels like, but it just keeps coming up, is like my wife and I reread Henry Nouwen's Reaching Out book, which these
Mm-hmm.
3 movements of, and he talks that hospitality, we can't be truly hospitable until we've learned to be in solitude as well. Like until we've gotten released this idea of looking for others to fill a need that only Jesus can. And that's
So good. Yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah, we can pretend to be hospitable, we can throw a great dinner party, but to truly welcome another, especially another person who is different than us, that might hold different beliefs, political, religious,
Right.
socioeconomic, whatever, like we can't truly welcome them if we're not comfortable and grounded, in who Jesus says we are.
Right. Right. Because then you don't feel like, then it's pure. You're not trying to
Yeah.
get something from them.
No.
They're not trying to, like, I'm not, so true hospitality is not like, I need you to do something for me, or I need to feel something when I do this to you or for you.
Right.
But yeah, yeah. But I mean, it takes time to get there.
Yeah.
But you can start with like, hey, I need to do this.
Right.
I need to be hospitable,
Yep. Yeah.
So.
No, and it's, and many times to be truly hospitable, we have to relinquish power or give up our seat, to make space, for the disenfranchised or those people that maybe aren't in power, and to learn what does your culture, what does your story bring that my story is lacking.
Yeah.
And that's a hard task, because nobody wants to relinquish power or their privilege. But, I think as you're describing it, that's what the church should be, is where everybody has a seat at the table to say, hey, here's what I'm seeing, and here's where we can grow together.
Right, for sure. Yeah.
And so you come from this big family, this honor culture, where, your uncle names you, and you come to the United States and you meet Jesus, which, from what I've heard, Muslims meeting Jesus is never an easy transition. And you mentioned that your brother became a Christian before you. And so, like, walk my listener, because it's such a great story, but like, I think it pervades who you are and helps us understand, like, okay, what does it mean to follow Jesus?
Yeah. So, I mean, my story is very, very strange. I mean, it's unbelievable. So, just let me go and take you back to growing up in Kuwait. So we had I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters, mom and dad, right? Grew up in Kuwait, like I said, but my brother, he's about 4 years older than me, and so he got accepted to a college in the U.S. and we were in Kuwait, so we were really super excited. We were like, okay, this is great. But we sent him to he got accepted to Spartanburg Methodist University. So it was in Spartanburg, South Carolina. It was a Methodist university, and Andrew, we had no idea what Methodist meant, so we're like, oh, that's great, that's awesome, send him, great. So he comes back every year, and one year, the second year he came back, he told me and my 2 sisters, he was like, "Hey, you know what? I'm actually a Christian now, and I'm a Jesus follower. I reject Islam. And I'm going to tell mom and dad about this." And I'm like, "What?" And so I actually freaked out, and we got into a physical altercation. And I threatened to kill him. It was bad. And so he didn't do anything that summer. He didn't tell mom and dad. And then just went back to the States to finish up. And so I just knew my brother was something like a Christian now. I don't know what he was doing. Now, going back, the reason why that was so powerful and so significant the way he did is that because Islam is like a global nationality. So when you leave the nationality, you instantly become a traitor. So that's kind of like the mentality. And that's why some of these countries have laws that can punish a traitor. So, Sharia law says that if a Muslim who's born and raised Muslim rejects Islam, he's rejecting Prophet Muhammad, which means he's saying something wrong about Prophet Muhammad, and that means he's punishable by death or imprisonment.
Wow.
So it's Pakistan and Kuwait still have those laws in place.
Hmm.
So, anyways, but he's in the States now, and so no one knows. But then Iraq in 1990 invades Kuwait and the neighboring country because of oil and all kinds of things. It shows up and it takes over the country, and we're kind of stuck there trying to figure out what to do. And a lot of immigrants took off, but we decided to stay. And we stayed there throughout the Gulf War. Kind of crazy story. So my first book, Ex-Muslim, I kind of chronicle all of my stories and my siblings, but also the stories of the war and things like that. But in 1992, so 2 years afterwards, I got a chance to come to the U.S. My dad was like, "Hey, listen, you haven't graduated from high school. What do you want to do? You want to start working? I can get you a tourist visa to go visit your brother." And even there, I mean, they wouldn't give me a tourist visa back then. There, they would give the family, but not just me, because they're like, this guy's gonna just stay there,
right, illegally.
And which was honestly, I mean, my dad just put me on a plane. He's like, "Okay, don't ever come back." Wow, I mean, that's what he said. He said, "Don't come back."
Okay.
And I was like, "What?" Like, okay. So I show up to the States, no idea of this culture. Except what I've seen on TV. I had a thick English accent, like thick Pakistani English accent.
Yep.
So I came here, and my brother was like, he introduced me to some of his friends, and they invited me to FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And so, like, the first week, I mean, I was going to FCA, and I mean, I was like, okay, what's going on? And that's where I heard about the gospel, heard about Jesus. And especially the message of like, Jesus is so personal and so pursuing you that he'll reveal himself to you if you ask him. And I'm like, I never heard that before. And then also I didn't really believe any of this. No. I was like, nah, this is just BS, man. And he was like, and my brother was so convinced. He was like, just ask him. He'll reveal himself. And I'm like, this is not how it works. And so 3 weeks into it, into being in the States, I was trying to figure out what to do. And I just was like, you know what? One meeting at FCA, I just kind of said to myself, I was like, you know what, if this is even half true, I want to know.
Yeah.
Didn't think anything of it. A couple of nights later, about 3 nights later or so, I'm in my room trying to fall asleep, and something just crazy happens. So all of a sudden, I feel like the room is kind of weird, strange. My heart starts racing, and I'm like, because I was about to fall asleep, but I didn't. I mean, I wasn't asleep, so I was like, I was going to shut off the lamp and light, and something grabs me, man, all of a sudden, and pins me to my pillow, and I'm like, and I'm like, I'm in a dream. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, and then something sits on my legs. I mean, I'm trying to wrestle out of this, but I can't. I'm paralyzed. The only thing I can move is my neck. I'm looking around. I start yelling. I realize I can't hear myself. I'm like, what's going on? And my brother's in the other room, and I'm freaking out. And I feel like, man, evil and death is in the room. And so finally the door opens up, and in walks this thing. And, growing up in Islam, we didn't really talk about like demons and angels or anything like that. And so this thing looks like a huge gargoyle, like walking up towards me and just starts communicating. He's like, I'm going to kill you. You're going to die tonight. And I'm like, okay, yeah. Wow. And I'm just so shocked. And this thing gets closer and closer, and I think it's going to be over. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. And this thing, whatever this thing was, disappears. And then whatever was holding me, lets go. And I'm just like stunned in my bed. Yeah. And I'm like, what just happened? And I run out of the room, wake up my brother, and I was like, what'd you do? Like, what is this? Yeah. And so I tell him what happens, and he was like, oh man. And he's like, as I'm telling him, he's like smiling. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're a psychopath. Like, why are you smiling? And he was like, this stuff is true, man. And I was like, what do you mean true? And he says, it's in the Bible. And I'm like, what do you mean what's in the Bible? Because I had never read the Bible. Yeah. So he was telling me about the gospel stories and all that. And I'm like, what? And I'd never heard of this. I'm like, I don't know. Please tell me this is not real.
Right.
This cannot be real. I'm
No.
just freaking out. I just had a bad dream. And he was like, no, man, this stuff is real. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And so he tries to explain a lot of things to me. For an hour or so, we're talking about God and Jesus and all that. And then I just finally was like, I'm like, listen, man, I need help. I don't know what to do. And he was like, well, there's only one person I know who has power over demons and angels. I was like, who? And he was like, Jesus. And I was like, okay, fine. So then I said, all right, okay. And so, I pray, I say, hey, Jesus, I don't know who you are. So I can't say who you are, the Lord of my life. I can't say I love you. I can't make any promises, but if you save me from this, I'll give you my life.
Mm.
And then my brother asked me to repeat him, he kind of takes me through the Romans road, saying, he takes me through the prayer of salvation kind of thing. And and then, amen. And he was like, all right, man, I'll see you in the morning. And I'm like, so freaked out, I'm like, okay, well, I'm just like spooning you, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm not leaving. I'm not going back in that room. So I literally had an argument about going back in the room.
Wow.
And he was like, no, I got you. And he's like, he gives me a Bible. The first Bible, he gave me, and it was smaller than an iPhone. It was like the Gideon's New Testament. Have you seen
the
those?
little pocket. Oh yeah. No, we've all had them.
Yeah. So that was my first Bible that I held.
Oh my goodness.
Was so strange. I was like, who is this for? Like, what are these? He's like, and he's like, no, it's just the New Testament, just And I was like, okay. So I go back in the room. I turn on all the lights. I'm sitting there reading John or something, and I'm just freaking out.
Yeah.
Reading, and then I'm thinking, man, what am I doing? Like, what's happening? This cannot be happening to me. Like, I just, I've been here for less than a month and just came through a war, and now I have demon problem. Like, am I going mad?
Right.
And so finally, I'm just so frustrated. I put the Bible down. I go shut off the lights, and get back in my bed, and I just look up and I just say, Jesus, if I die tonight, it is your fault. Now, I don't know why I said that. I have no idea what I was just freaked out.
Yeah.
Put the covers over my head. Didn't know what to do. And finally trying to fall asleep. And man, all of a sudden I feel like something's shaking me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like round 2. Like, this is happening again.
Right.
So I find myself sitting on my bed and trying to see what's going on. And as I look, it's the strangest thing, Andrew. I mean, there he was. He said, "I'm Jesus, and your life is not your own." I mean, it was so strange because I was looking at him, but I remember saying out loud, "I'm inside of you." It is the weirdest, craziest thing. I mean, I've never felt like peace so aggressive.
Yeah.
Presence so intoxicating. I couldn't keep my eyes off of him, but I couldn't keep my eyes open.
Yeah.
And he said it again, I think. And then he just put me to sleep. I just couldn't stay in that presence for too long. I just knew that in this physical form and in that reality could not mix. It was like going through I don't know, another dimension, a wormhole. I don't even know, man. It was so weird.
I can imagine.
And the next morning I got up and I just kind of had this download that I was supposed to be in ministry. I was supposed to not do what I was thinking of doing. I was supposed to do, and I had no idea what ministry meant.
Right.
And that launched, that's why I'm here, sitting here, 30 years later.
Right.
And then a year after year, my sisters came to Christ and my brother came to Christ and my dad before he passed as well. So it's like a whole story of that. And that's the journey. That was the first book. And then the second book is really about, what do you do when you see the God of miracles who's done miracles in your life, allows tragedy in your life, and how do you come out of that? So that's my story, man.
That's amazing. Because it's being raised in the church, my story, like I was basically born into the church, right? Like, and so like one of those kids
Mm.
who've accepted Jesus at 4, just been in the church my whole life,
Yeah.
and so it's just the reality and the beauty of Jesus sometimes I think feels over there for me, like,
Mm.
um, and I'm guessing some listeners might feel the same way. And so it's like, okay, how do we come in contact with this beautiful Jesus, and how does he
Yeah.
become real? Having been the exposure, having been exposed to it so much,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, like it's so beautiful to hear that story, because you even have a quote from your new book. It says, fear might control our emotions, but beauty has the power to shape our souls.
Mm.
And I feel like your story just speaks to what the beauty of Jesus can do, when it breaks through in the most surreal ways, whether it's like your
Hmm.
story or whether it's breaking through when we're experiencing grief or loss or tragedy. Like how does beauty shape our souls? Uh, and what how can Jesus's beauty shape our souls in today's culture, I guess, would be a question.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a great question. Yeah. And I think most people don't realize the power of creating beauty,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't realize the connection. Now, what's a spiritual connection to it? So, when we think of people who've gone through traumatic experiences, and if they're going and become learning to become human again, they're learning to um, detox from, emotional, abuse of any kind. Psychologists and therapists will tell them to surround themselves with beauty, or create beauty. So
Mm.
doing artwork, building things, doing something for someone else, doing beautiful acts, creating beautiful things, surrounding yourself with beauty. All of those things actually heal our hearts and heal our
Yeah.
souls, and reframe us and realign us to who we were, and return us to who we were. And so we know this, but it's spiritually what happens is sometimes, like when we go through difficult times, when we go through um, rejection or betrayal, we go through a breakup, we go through huge amounts of grief. What we what we're told is to pray more and believe more and trust more. Sometimes, that's it. Just
Yeah.
believe more, trust more, and just get with God, and or get a word from God, or do more things like read the Bible more. And what you don't realize is that, in fact, like Jesus continually throughout the Scripture used beauty to come against the fear, like and like uh, uh, and worry in our lives. Like,
Yeah.
so, like if you read Matthew, he talks about, don't worry, about what you will wear,
Mm-hmm.
or what you would eat, and and all that. Don't worry about how things are going to be provided. And the first thing he says of what to do, he says, hey, look at the birds. Like,
Right.
what do you mean, look at the birds? Like, what,
Yeah.
why are we looking at the birds? He was like, look at the beautiful birds that God created, and he takes care of them.
Mm-hmm.
So what is he saying? He's saying, move your eyes to beauty. He's like,
Mm.
look at the birds. He's like, oh man, you're stressing out about clothing, you're stressing out about provisions in your life. Look at the flowers.
Yeah.
Again, like, what are we
Right.
doing?
Yeah.
Because he's saying, don't look at your bank account. Look at the beautiful things around you. Like, he's literally saying, look at the flowers.
Mm.
Look how beautiful they are. Again, he's saying beauty. He says, and then he points them to the beautiful relationship the flowers and the birds have with God. He says
Yeah.
he provides for them. That's a beautiful relationship, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't do this, they don't do anything, but yet he provides. And then he says, and aren't you worthy? Aren't you worth more than them? Like, don't you think God cares about you even more?
Mm.
So again, he says, points them to the beautiful relationship that God has, or a beautiful love that God has for us. Continually, he does that.
Right.
And I think there's like a loss. So that's why I talk about in the book. I'm like, the most fearful things in our life are only dismantled by the beautiful things in our life. And when we choose to create beauty, we conquer fear and anxiety in our lives. Like even and here's why if the biggest thing people I want people to know, like, God has always told us, like, hey, when you're going through the worst of times, I need you to create, I need you to build, I need you to do some, I need you, don't dwindle away, don't just wait around. Like, so the Jewish people went through, exile in Babylon. You know the story, right?
Yep.
And do you know Jeremiah 29:11 is a famous, right?
Yeah. For I know
It's
the
like,
plans I have for you, right? Yep.
correct. Yeah. And we love that one. We like,
Right.
yes. So, and you know what happens is we think of that as a faith thing. And he says, hey, so if you have some issues in your life, if you're going through some stuff in your life, if you're in a season that you don't love, just have this hope. Just know this. Just believe this, claim this verse, all that. Okay, well, you can't claim the verse if you don't read the chapter
Right.
that it came out of.
Yeah.
Like, it's the last thing he said. It's not the first thing.
No.
The first thing he said is, here's what I want you to do. I allowed this to happen, and here's what I want you to do. I want you to build homes, plant gardens. I want you to eat their fruit. I want you to marry. I need you to find, don't dwindle away. I want you to have grandchildren. I want you, like, he starts telling them to have these long range plans and says, I want you to start building, start praying for the prosperity of the place you've been, for its welfare determines yours. I want you to do all this. Also, don't listen to the prophets who are telling you it's not going to be, just wait, God will come, God will come. Don't listen to them. You know why? Because I'm not going to come for about 70 years.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
I'm not coming. I'm not coming for 70 years. But then after 70 years, guess what? I'll come and get you out. And you know why? Because I know the plans I have for you,
Right.
says the Lord.
Yeah.
Plans to give you a hope in the future. So what is he saying? He's saying, listen, like, when you're going through some stuff, you have to create beautiful things around you, or because you're wired up that way. And if that passage scripture was not enough, the first book in the Genesis, the first book of the scriptures says it.
Yeah.
Like, here's what I'm like. I'm always surprised by this. Like, have you ever made something? Have you ever made anything, like accomplished something and complimented yourself? Like, Andrew, have you?
Yeah. Oh,
like,
yeah. Like,
that
when
was
I
great.
cook, when I make a great dish, it's like, yeah, like I love to cook. I used to be a professional chef. So, like, when I create a
Yes.
dish that is like, hits those notes, you're like, yep, I'm done. I don't need,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I've
Yep.
arrived. This is
Yep.
it. This is something beautiful about this, right?
Right.
It's like, and you compliment yourself. And we do this. I mean, so
Yeah.
you don't have to be like a chef. You can be you can create anything. I mean, shoot, you can wash your car and look at it and go, man, this looks amazing.
Yeah.
So this idea of like complimenting ourselves when we do something that's wonderful, where did we get that from? God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so if you read Genesis, okay, and I mean, maybe I'm taking some liberty on this, but I mean, God creates something the first day, and then he stops and goes, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Then he keeps on going. Next day, oh, that's good.
Right.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, God's complimenting himself. Like,
Right.
and then the last day, he looks at everything, looks at what he made us, and then he says, "This is really good." Like,
Right.
he's like, "I'm amazing.
Yeah.
This is amazing. I'm amazing, guys." Like, he literally does that. And so when we create, we act like the one who created us. We act like our Heavenly Father when we create things.
Yeah.
Beautiful things, because it heals us. Because and here's the thing. Here's why I say beautiful things, is because you can't create something beautiful without loving it. Like, the only reason it's beautiful because you love it. It's not beautiful because it's attractive.
No.
It's beautiful because you made it. So when you make something out of love, when you allow God's love in you, when you allow it to shape you and lead you, it number one casts out fear,
Right.
because faith does not, love does.
Yeah.
Love casts out fear because now you're allowing love to lead your life. And when you allow love to lead your life, it cannot help but create beautiful things,
Yeah.
beautiful relationships, beautiful communities, beautiful purpose, vision, beautiful acts. It can't help it.
Right.
And so that's what I'm hoping is, in this book, is for people to move out of their fears and betrayal and abuse, not by believing more, but
No.
creating more beautiful things in their lives. So,
I love that because like, how do we move from fear and anxiety towards beauty? Feels like a hard task, but it has the power to heal. Like I know when I feel overwhelmed, like, or here I'll share this one story because it might, when I was a chef at a restaurant, I was sous chef, so I was second in charge, and there was one
yeah.
day where everything was going wrong. Like, it was just one of those days where you're fixing problem after problem. And I remember having this thought to myself, like, I either need to start drinking or I need to create a dish. Like, thankfully, like I chose to create, but
Yeah.
like taking that moment, and we had a small group coming in that needed a little bite of food, right? So it gave me an opportunity to figure something out. But figuring out looking in the fridge, and granted I had access to more things than a normal fridge, but looking around and figuring out what could I create
hmm
gave me a chance to reset my soul, in
Oh
just a
yeah.
very small way, you know,
Yeah.
um, and it's not dealing with grief. It was just one of those, breath moments almost.
Yeah. I mean, and people don't realize how much that's so important. And it's not just important, it's necessary, because
Yeah.
we were created that way.
Yeah.
When people, that's why people sit and sit and look at art
Right.
and allow their souls to just feel everything,
Yeah.
you know? Why? Because there's something about that. There's
Mm.
something about, that's why David, he's like, when I look at the moons and the stars, I just start feeling, what am I
Yeah.
that you're mindful of me?
Mhm.
Like, what are we? Like,
Right.
that why we're so insignificant, yet you care for us, you
Yeah.
know? Like, so why? He's again seeing it something so, um, awe-inspiring,
Right.
that he goes, "Ah, yeah, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be
Right.
okay,"
Yeah.
you know? Um, and so, yeah, I hope people do that more and more. Andrew, I mean, I was just talking to a buddy just yesterday, and he was talking about his coworker that he was going to have lunch with this week,
Hmm.
and the guy took his life.
Mm.
And and my book, Tomorrow Needs You, the reason why the title is what it is because my dad tried to commit suicide
Wow.
and was not successful.
Mm.
And the conversation we had afterwards, after that incident, he told me, he was, because I was asking him, I was like, "Dad, what's going on?" And he was like, "No one needs me.
Mm.
You don't need me. I'm useless." And I was like, "What do you mean I don't need you?" I was like, "Dad, I need you. Like, we need you. Your grandkids need you." And
Yeah.
he was just not able to see it. He
Mm.
wasn't like, and that's what happens, man. The first thing that happens with despair and discouragement, uh, discouragement starts off where you criticize the beautiful things, but then despair is when you just can't even, you're blind to them. You
Right.
just can't see it. You can't
Hmm.
see anything beautiful.
No.
And he could not
Mm.
see anything beautiful around. And then it's a lie. The lie is then, okay, well, no one needs you. You're
Right.
useless. You don't matter.
Yeah.
You're washed up. You made too many mistakes. You're done.
Mm.
You're not lovable. You're not successful. You're not going to make it, and then people just go, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Tomorrow doesn't, no one needs me.
Right.
So I'm hoping, man, I'm praying that people would go, hey, listen, the first thing you got to do is look at the beautiful things around you and then start to create beautiful things,
Hmm.
because that's going to give you the power. That really is, um, you know, um, so yeah.
And I think I'd be curious because, Jesus, in the moments where people are despairing, he sometimes uses the table as a means to reorient them towards beauty, whether it's Zacchaeus or the
Hmm.
disciples to Emmaus. And so as you think of like beauty and helping others reorient their souls that, tomorrow needs you. And obviously, like, there are times where people need professional help, right? Like,
Yeah,
never
yeah, for
want to
sure.
minimize. Yeah. But like, as we're just being with people, how can the table help us and help us create that space where we can help others see the beauty?
Yeah, no, great question, man. In fact, we have this Wednesday night discipleship thing once a month, and it's called the table.
Okay.
And so it's not just one table, but there's
Yeah.
several tables.
Right.
But basically, it's like learning and investigating and growing together, but also having people uh, on the table who are not like you, like
Yeah.
at the seat of the table who are not like you. So I don't think you can see the beauty of people unless you actually sit with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's one thing, like the sometimes our faith, uh, depending on how you grew up, what denomination you grew up, it's all about standing for your faith. It's all
Yeah.
about standing.
Yeah.
We're standing against this, and we're standing for this, and we're
Yep.
standing against that. And I'm like, in the Mosaic, we talked about, we don't stand on issues, we sit with people.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so what that means is that it's not like we don't have any stance on issues. It's just that we first sit with people. And
Right.
when you sit with people, you kind of go, okay, I see the humanity behind this choice of yours.
Right.
So like, could you imagine if we were like, hey, politically, hey, can we just sit?
Right.
Can we just sit and talk?
Yeah.
Like, your politics is one part of you, not your
Yeah.
whole part
No.
of you.
Mm-mm.
So, and on either sides, like, so yeah, I think you can't see the beauty, the beautiful uniqueness of people if you don't sit with them around a table.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to hear beautiful stories. You
No.
can read about beautiful stories, but
Yeah.
you're not going to be really be transformed with by beautiful stories unless you sit with people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's the relationships in our life that really shape us. And so if you don't sit with anybody who's different from you, I mean, I don't know. Are you really growing? Like,
Mm. Yeah.
like, there are people in your life where you're like, man, you're the same person 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've never gotten out or sat with anyone else who was not like other than you,
Right. Yeah.
You sat with the same people,
Right.
you sit with the same crew, you eat with the same crew. You don't even know anybody, but
Yeah.
that's not in your culture, like a
Right.
subculture or your whatever. And I mean, it's not sad life, but it is in a sense. It's not really, you don't know what the rest of the world is,
No.
Yeah. So,
No. And especially if we've cloistered and, just kept in our
hmm.
silos, we don't know what's available, and what,
Yeah. Yeah.
and even if it's not just politically, but just even spiritually, sitting with people from different denominations, like whether you're like, I remember sitting with, more charismatic people who wanted everybody baptized in the spirit and speaking in tongues. And like, it helped me reshape my view of what life in the spirit can be, because I sat with people versus just
Right.
judging the worst, whether that's, those, you know, pastors who take advantage of people, and
Right.
what,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
like, it's just it's in that sitting, and you mentioned that it takes time. Like, it's not an easy one
Yeah.
time quick fix to see the
It's
beauty in
not.
others.
And it's a very courageous thing to do and vulnerable thing to do is to sit and have a meal. Like
Yeah.
you'll notice, like certain people who don't want you to get close, they don't want to eat with you.
Hmm.
They don't want to eat with you.
No.
They'll do a coffee, but they don't
Yeah.
want to eat with you.
Right.
And even at Mosaic, we talk about this because, I remember like early on in my faith with Christianity, it was all about like, hey, we need to break bread together, break
Yeah.
bread together. And I realized, I said, I remember I was like, I said, we don't break bread together most of the time in church. We eat at the same time. Like,
Right.
so in the Eastern culture, you literally break the same bread.
Wow. Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, so like, so when we like, so like, even at the table, the midweek thing, it's a potluck.
Right.
So we're not like ordering Chick-fil-A or ordering this because You're not breaking bread.
No.
You didn't make this.
Mm-mm.
You got whatever you wanted. You
Yeah.
got your thing, and we're eating. You have nothing to do with this. So there's a difference between that and then, oh, sitting down and talking about like, oh yeah, this is my so-and-so recipe, or, oh, I think I messed this up, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
That's breaking the same bread.
Right.
That's like sharing our lives. So
Mm.
when people are, what I've realized is that when people are able to do that,
Right.
when they're vulnerable enough to one make something that
Mm.
might not be that great,
Right. Yeah.
that they're like, no one's touched the macaroni, okay, because it's sucked. Like
Right.
it's
Yeah.
not good.
Mm.
But if they're vulnerable enough to do that, then they're vulnerable to eat and comment, and then you're vulnerable enough to sit there while other people eat your food.
Yeah.
And you're wondering, I mean, could you imagine the spiritual conversation after that?
Right. Yeah.
Well, it's a lot more transparent, a lot more opening, a lot more
Mm-hmm.
trustworthy.
Yeah.
You can trust the person's kindness because they ate your food and it wasn't that great, but they were
Right.
nice about it.
Yeah.
So man, it's a whole different dynamic. I feel that's why Jesus ate with people.
Mm.
So anyways, yeah.
No,
My
I love
thoughts.
it. Like, because, like you said, like the food we bring tells a story of who we are and who we want to be. Whether it's an old family recipe or a recipe we just want to try out, and to have those people that will
Right.
be willing to try it with us and laugh with us if it sucks, and be willing to say, okay, well, that didn't work out. Let's order some pizza. Like,
Right. Right.
versus
Exactly.
playing the
Yeah.
platitudes, like,
Yeah. For sure.
there's a
Yes.
difference there, and it is a beautiful thing when we can gather and share the
It
beauty
is,
of the
man.
table, and even work together to prepare the food together.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
Uh,
yeah. And then also, it's like the whole, I love the biggest table. I love the idea of it because it's like, it's that whole passage in scripture where the Jesus is talking about, the guy who throws a party and he invites the
Right.
people and they don't show up. And then he goes, all right, then go get the misfits. In one
Yeah.
translation says,
Right.
go get them.
Yeah.
Let's bring them. Let's get them all in here, and,
Right.
and, even Jesus, when he healed the centurion's servant, he says, I'll tell you the truth, and people will come from the east and west and sit at the table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Like this table is always the biggest table with
Right.
Jesus. And if you're uncomfortable, there's something wrong with you. Like,
Right.
Yeah, not with the table.
No, but being okay with that discomfort too, like,
Right. Correct.
being able
If
to
you don't
sit,
refuse to, yeah.
yeah, and because it will be uncomfortable, it will be hard, it
Correct.
is
Correct.
tricky,
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For
yeah,
sure.
and that's where you were going with it. But yeah, like it's this good discomfort.
Yes. And you're willing to do that. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm willing to, because I've seen people who have opinions about certain groups of people. And I've always wondered, hey, but did you sit with them?
Right.
Have you invited them to your house?
Yeah.
And, I mean, the most uncomfortable people that I can think of, the categories I've invited them in my house.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because that's a whole different level.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, okay. So anyways, it's a cool thing, man.
No, it is.
Yeah.
And so for you personally, where are you finding beauty in this moment? Because I feel like we are inundated with bad news, ugliness, or bad news, or just despair, and whether it's personal, corporate, global, national, like there's a lot to despair over, it feels like at times. And so like, how do you keep the beauty alive in your own soul?
That's a really good question. Really good question. My son and I were having a conversation a couple of weeks ago about, is humanity getting better? And it was, so he's a sustainability major,
Okay.
and it's just talking about like how and I didn't know this, how the U.S. sells its trash to other countries. I didn't know this.
No.
Yeah. We sell our trash. We sell our trash and to other countries because we can so they can take them to their country and get rid of it. And toxic fumes or the emissions or whatever, it's on their country, not on our soil.
Oh gosh.
So basically, we can claim, hey, we're pretty good in terms of, leaving this maybe a cleaner footprint. But it's only because we just ship it out of the country. They take care of it. But we're still part of the world, and we're still part of this one atmosphere.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's still coming back. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But it's so interesting, right? In terms of like, is humanity getting better? And I feel like, I was making the argument that we are getting better. So what I do is like, I look at the things that are going on in this world, and then I see like people standing up for what's right, and I see people trying to make a change and stand up and have a voice, even protest, do the things that they need to do to get the word out of what's happening in the world. So I feel like that's good. What's really overwhelming is that there's so much tragedy, there's so much loss in the middle of that. So I'll tell you how I do it. So this was a beautiful story. So look, I've been taking this book on tour kind of thing, and one of the things I talk about is breaking up with your past, and because our past sometimes, like in the first section in the book is called, Yesterday's Forgotten You.
Right.
You are still thinking about yesterday, but yesterday's forgotten you. The thing about our past is that, like if you don't really transform it or begin to transform it, you'll transmit it somewhere. It'll show up somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's why people who've been abused, end up sometimes being abusers themselves.
Right.
So there's this thing that, so if you've had violence against you, there is a good chance that you might be violent as well.
Right.
And I feel the world's the same. If worlds and countries have been abused, they'll become abusers.
Yeah.
And we're even seeing that sometimes in places. So, so in the middle of that, I think, oh my gosh, humanity is so broken. So the way I do it is I focus on the individuals that are making a commitment to break up with their past. Like this one cool story is like, I took a picture of it. So I give, like, I've gone to churches, and I'll give them like this. It's kind of like a stick. It's not a stir stick, but it's a wooden stick that maybe it's like one of those things that doctors use. They stick out your tongue and go, whatever that stick is called.
Yep.
But it's thick enough. It's thin enough to break. It's thick enough to write something on.
Okay.
And so I just tell people, I say, what is something that you've heard through your whole life, and it's connected to your past? Like, what is it? And then at the end of the sermon and all that, I tell them, okay, and so now we're going to break it. So we're going to break this thing. And it's really beautiful when you hear the sounds of things breaking, and we lay them at the cross or something, or people take them just to remember this is broken over them. And so one mom came up to me and told me, hey, my son struggles with, mental illness and depression, and my dad committed suicide. It's my son, and I just fear. And she was crying and all that. And she said, I want to show you his broken stick. And the broken stick said, he had written there, I am nothing. And then he broke it.
Oh.
I know. I was like, oh my gosh, this was so powerful. And she was crying. I was crying. And so, I look at that kind of beautiful things where people are courageous enough, with this kid's courageous enough to say, I'm not going to believe this lie that I'm nothing. Because if he feels like he's nothing, the adult version of him is going to be like, well, people are nothing.
Yeah.
And no one, and so, so in the middle of that, I think like the world and the media always says, look at what's happening in the world. And I just got to dial it into like, but the people around me, the beautiful people around me, I can, I can live in those moments, because I'll go mad.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out and try to feel the emotion of the world.
Yeah.
What I can do is feel the emotion of individual people, inspire them to, do the next beautiful thing,
Right.
So does that make sense?
Yeah. No,
that's what I got to focus on. Yeah.
Yeah. And hearing those stories of transformation, seeing, that's again the beauty of ministry is you get to see the worst of people at times, but you also then get to
Mm,
see God break through
yeah,
and work miracles, um,
yeah,
in amazing ways.
yeah,
And so I appreciate it. And as we wrap up, these are some questions I ask all of my guests. The first one's heavier
yeah.
and then some fun ones. But what's the story you want the church to tell?
Wow. What's the story I want the church to tell about?
Just
Hmm.
whatever comes to your, free association.
Hmm. Man, that is a very good question, Andrew. What is the story I want the church to tell? Man, you got me stumped here. Hmm. What do I want? Hmm. Well, I would say, so if the church was, if the church, you know, if the church was God's idea, Jesus' idea. So, I've thought this before.
Yeah.
Said this before that Jesus died so not to make us Christians. He died so we could become the church. So he died to create a community of people who believed that God so loved the world that he gave his only son, you
Hmm.
know? So what I would want is I'd want the church to tell a beautiful story of the love of God, uh, and to tell the accurate story of how God has always been motivated by love.
Hmm.
Um, so, even Jesus turned that whole thing around. He says, "Hey, listen, this is how people will actually know that, pure picture of God if you actually love one another."
Right.
So I would say that, yeah, I would say that I would say that if the church could tell a beautiful love story about how God has loved humanity, and that would be the story to tell.
Yeah.
I pray that the church would tell a love story, of God and humanity.
Hmm. No, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And some fun food questions then.
Okay.
What's one food you refuse to eat?
Oh my gosh. So it's a delicacy, but in Pakistan, but it's so disgusting. My mom would actually make uh, like goat hooves. Like
Okay.
they'd cut
Yeah.
yeah, and boil them, and that was a thing.
Okay.
No,
No.
no, not
Okay.
never, ever. No, that's not happening. It's
Okay.
not happening.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. I've
no,
heard of pig trotters and pig feet, but I've not
yeah,
seen or heard about goat.
yeah. It's awful. I don't even know why. Why?
Yeah.
It's awful. It's
Okay.
awful.
Then on the other end of the spectrum, what's one of the best things you've ever
Okay.
eaten?
Oof, man, I've eaten so many good things
I'm
though.
sure. Yes.
I mean, I've eaten love a great sushi roll that's fully, I mean, not just your basic, like
Yeah.
something that's like out there, extravagant, but it's just put together so well. Love, love, love that.
Hmm.
Love good hummus, like
Okay. Yeah.
just and then with the right meat, or with the right shawarma meat. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's delicious.
Oh.
So I got all kinds. I
Yeah.
also love, and I love like a street a Mexican street pork taco.
Oh
Oh my
yeah.
gosh,
Yep.
those are just
Come on.
delish. Or a fish taco.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That is just beautiful.
Okay.
Um, yeah, that would be. I mean, yeah, pizza is pizza. I mean, love pizza, but I think those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, ceviche. That would be.
Okay. Yep.
That's.
You're
Yeah.
speaking. Yeah. There are some things, man. I'm now hungry and ready for.
I know. I know. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great questions.
And then finally, there's a conversation among chefs about last meals, as in if you knew you only had one more meal to enjoy,
Oh, come
what would it
on.
be? So what would be
Come
on that?
on,
Yeah.
Andrew. Oh, last meal?
Yeah. It's a fun question. It's interesting to hear what people associate.
Last meal? That's a tough one.
Right. I'm not here to ask the easy questions.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, I mean, I would probably, yeah, I'd probably do some Arab, like I would do, I would do some like shawarma and
Mm,
hummus and pita bread, and yeah, I think I would probably do that.
yeah.
But you got me stumped though, because shoot, I mean, I love a good steak too.
Right.
So, but that's so, that's it's like okay, everybody's gonna do that, pick
Yeah.
that. But yeah, maybe that bit.
No. I
Yeah,
appreciate it. Yeah. No.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, Naeem, I really appreciate this conversation. It's been really enjoyable, challenging, inspiring. If people want to learn more about you, your books, your work, where can they find you?
Yeah, so yeah, the best place would be I guess online,
Yeah.
naeemfazal.org, but I'm on Instagram as well for sure. So Instagram, they can DM me. That's actually the quickest way to connect with me,
Okay.
actually. So on Facebook as well, and yeah, the book is available on Amazon or anywhere books are sold.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, that would be the place. I'm online. I
Yeah.
tell people sometimes, just Google me, you'll find me.
Yep.
It's easy enough.
For sure.
Not a lot of people have Naeem Fazal as their name, so it makes it easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and we'll make sure to put those links in the show notes. But yeah, do pick up Naeem's new book, Tomorrow Needs You. It's inspiring. It's a great way, just yeah, to think through how do we deal with the hurt and the pain and trauma in our own lives.
Mm.
So if you've enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing, leaving a review, or sharing it with others. Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Biggest Table, where we explore what it means to be transformed by God's love around the table and through food. Until next time, bye.